We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, beloveds. How are you? This is Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are back for another episode of what? Gray Lives on the Rise. And thank you for joining us. And we have a very, 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 very good topic tonight. We have this brother here, and I'm going to introduce him to you later on. And you know, in this country, they only require you to speak English. They don't require you to speak another language. So that's the reason why a lot of us, including me, sometimes really don't pronounce things correctly. So I always put the disclaimer out that if I stumble over words or names, because my name is African origin, so I definitely like to pronounce names correctly. So forgive me, brother, if I stumble. I went over it a little, but still. Anyway,
Okay.
this is Professor Jamila Franklin, and I am the founder and creator of Gray Lives on the Rise. And to give you a little bit of information before we have this illuminating discussion by this awesome scholar. 2 years ago, I was walking, I'm a walking enthusiast. I was just walking. And then I had this download from Spirit that basically said, okay, you need to do something about the 50 plus generation. I was like, oh, me? Yes, you. You need to do something about that because there's nothing out there that speaks to your generation. And it's of Medicare and AARP. I'm vegan. My health is pretty good. Not because I'm vegan, because there's some vegans who eat Oreo cookies and they're sick. Okay, they're not healthy. So it has nothing to do with that. It's just that my mindset. And then also, I said, okay, AARP and Medicare, I don't really connect with either one of them, even though they are wonderful organizations. When you hear the word AARP, you automatically think of people who are sedentary and in their rocking chairs. And that is not me. That is not my friends. We are not about that. And so I said, okay, let me think about this. And then the download said you need to relanguage how people refer to themselves. You need to come up with a marketing strategy. You need to come up with a name for the movement, because this is a movement. And you need to come up with a podcast. So I said, okay, Gray Lives Matter. I said, no, that didn't resonate with me. And then boom, Gray Lives on the Rise. I said, wow, I like that. That resonated with me. And it was on from there. It was just glowing and growing. And then the next thing was, you need to have a store. And I said, yeah, that's true, because people relate to symbols, they relate to shirts and hoodies, and all. If they see a slogan or something, they're like, oh, wow, I like that. So I showed you my t-shirt. We have hoodies, we have cosmetics, bags, we have handbags, you name it, we have it in our store, and it's reflecting our consciousness. And then I was thinking, I said, we need to relanguage how we refer to ourselves. We are not old, we're not elderly, we're not senile, we are seasoned, mature, vibrant, alive, and active. So yeah, I can relate to that. And then the next thing was you need to have a podcast. So in talking to people around the world, everyone was having the same issue. When you hit 50 years young, people tend to think that you are senile. They tend to gaslight you. I knew of this person uh, who used to always try to gaslight me, bless her little heart. And I said, okay, she thinks that I'm not understanding what she's saying because I don't come back with a rapid response. And that's because I've learned how to control what I say to people before I say it. And she just pops up and says whatever goes and comes into her brain. And as you get older, you see that you don't have to respond, especially if people are not making sense. And her comments most of the times were inane and insane. So I didn't think that I needed to give it any energy. But a lot of times we encounter people who try to denigrate us. So I said, okay. And my talking to people around the world, because Great Lives is a global movement, they all had the same concern. When you hit 50 plus, people don't desire to hire you. They denigrate you. They try to dismiss you. And the irony is the people who own the companies where they work are 50 plus. Go figure. I was like, your bosses are 50 plus.
Right.
So they don't think about that. They don't think about that. So I've had people on the broadcast from South Africa, New Zealand, the Netherlands, Haiti, Costa Rica, the Philippines, the Netherlands. Did I say New Zealand? Yeah, I think I said New Zealand, and the UK. I may be missing one or two other, Canada and Australia, if I didn't mention those two, and of course America. So they all had the same concern. So I decided that I would have this podcast to speak to people who are in our age group because we are the wealthiest demographic, and that's what they don't seem to understand because most of us have children that are grown, and some of us have grown grandchildren, and some of us have great grandchildren. So we don't have those dependents. You know, one disadvantage is you can't claim them on your taxes if you file taxes. So, but you don't have that. And so we have the second part of our lives. We're in good health to travel, to live freely and as we please. So Great Lives on the Rise speaks to us. And I said, we can talk to each other, share information. As a matter of fact, we're coming up on our first Great Lives on the Rise coffee chat, which means all of the speakers and members of our group are going to have a meetup group on Thursday, the first Thursday, the last Thursday of this month. And if you can join us, if you want people in the audience, you have to just be a member of our group. So we're starting that so we can just mingle amongst each other and support each other, right? And I am a certified aromatherapist, a certified Reiki master, a certified metaphysician, a college professor of psychology. I have my own clinical practice. I'm an award-winning author, and I created, at the behest of spirit, my own coaching practice. Not coaching, well, I'm a coach too. I do job placement coaching, but my own counseling modality, which deals with healing ancestral trauma. And everybody out there has trauma.
Yes.
They have
Yes.
trauma. Okay.
Much needed.
So having said all that, I am so pleased that we have this amazing brother tonight to illuminate you. He is amazing and fascinating. But let me do one other infomercial. My company that underwrites it, because I have to pay, is Jamila Sense. Okay, it's a certified aromatherapy company, and it's all natural. I create all my products myself. And this, you see, is clear and it has lavender, lemongrass, and geranium in it, plus some Reiki energy. You don't put it in your mouth. You just rub your hands together, breathe in. Oh my gosh. Oh, it takes away all the stress. Oh, headaches, PTSD, sinus congestion, sinus headaches, migraine headaches. It takes away, what do you call it? Any stressor that has you really out of sorts. All you do is just breathe it 10 times. It goes into your nose to the olfactory center in your brain, and it lets go of the stress. It releases the stress. And you put the rest on your arms. And in the summer, flies and mosquitoes won't come near you because they don't like the scent. So Jamila Scents, go to my website and you will see Gray Lives on the Rise, and you will see Jamila Scents, and you will see my other companies. Gray Lives on the Rise is my newest little baby. And the website is Oyende Enterprises. That's O like an orange, Y like in young, I like an independent, N like in Nancy, D like in dog, E, and then Enterprises, ENTERPRISES.com. When you go to the website, you will see all of my courses that I teach because I have an institute, and you will also see Gray Lives on the Rise. Click on that and you see everything about Gray Lives on the Rise. So now, thank you. Having given you that information, we're going to jump right into why you're here this evening, because you know a little bit about me. We're going to now talk about this amazing brother here. Okay, Brother Neb Teharka Qiniche Cauac. Yeah, I'm pronouncing it again. Brother Neb Teharka Qiniche Cauac.
Yes.
AKA Harold Causby. It's the founder and chancellor of the Synchronistic Hueman, H-U-E, School of Enlightenment, S-H-S-O-E. As a teacher, professor of high science and advanced concepts of spirituality to help shift the global consciousness for humanity to move into the next stage of evolution. Course curriculum includes, but is not limited to, the proper use of the 13 moon calendar, law of time, law of nature, and whole mind concepts of the Synchronic Order. In addition, he is the author of the concept for Synchronomics. Synchronomics, where he consults, plans, and supports those who desire to implement sustainable strategies that enhance profitability for entrepreneurial businesses through his one-on-one Synchronicity Coaching Program, where he has recorded over 1,500 sessions with over 2,250 hours of individual training over the past 6 years. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Professor Teharka has taught about Olmec, Dogon, I love the Dogon people, South Africa, and galactic Mayan cosmology over the last 9 years, of which 2 years at the Jewel University of Immortal Sciences, 5 years with melanated immortals making evolutionary changes, and the letters for that are IMEC, the School of Evolution, and currently instructing as a master teacher at the Synchronistic Hueman School of Enlightenment. His unique ability to make extremely complex concepts simple and practical is what differentiates him from other scholars. As a result, many clients and students have made tremendous strides forward to monetize their gifts, enhance their knowledge of spirituality, and actualize their galactic purpose while overcoming societal systematic programming of the subconscious mind. And that's really important because, we're being bombarded all the time with this. Okay, remember, systematic programming of the subconscious mind. Remember, evolution is the solution. It is so true. Welcome, Brother Teharka.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
I am
am
so
so
glad to be here.
I am so pleased. We're gonna have a real good conversation. We're going to go deep. Okay, let's go
I
to the
could tell.
galaxy. Let's go out to the galaxy. So those of you like the Funkadelics used to say, right? The Mother Starship.
The mothership.
Yeah, yeah. George Clinton. They were
Yeah,
out
give
there,
me
right,
some of
during
that
the
funk.
70s. Yeah, yeah, during the 70s and in the 80s, right? So
Hmm.
so we're going to embody what George Clinton was trying to do. Okay, all right. Not Bill
Hmm.
Clinton, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about
Yes, yes,
P-Funk. Okay, we're talking about
yes.
P-Funk. We're not talking about Bill Clinton. So let's go there.
All right.
What what impressed you to go down this journey? It's so amazing.
You know, I tell you, Professor Franklin, I just am blown away. I've been guided by my intuition in a way that just has me awestruck. And probably about 10 years ago, I had a friend of mine, and he just, it was a short conversation, and he just said to me, he said, Brother Harold at the time, I wasn't Neb Teharka at the time, I was just given that name in 2000. Um, you ever took a look at the 13 moon calendar? I said, well, I heard of it, and I really wasn't that interested in it, to be honest with you, because it sounded like it might be some trickery,
Mhm,
witchcraft. It just
mhm,
back then I wasn't it's educated about, but I would hear a lot of different stuff in passing, and then every now and again my intuition tell me, well, pick that up and take a look at it, and I'll find some discoveries. So anyway, he said, because what you said just sounded real synchronistic. So this is why you see the synchronistic all in my stuff, because he really planted that seed, right? So he gave me a website to look at, and I started looking up um, all this information on the 13 moon calendar and really how the Gregorian calendar was made and found all these discrepancies. I said, this is crazy. Are you serious? Are we really following this? And I said, man, and I just couldn't put it down. So that's how I started. I just started uh, looking up information that he had given me, and I got inspired. And 2 months later, he calls me. He said, hey, did you ever look at that website that I gave you? I sat up straight, Professor Franklin. I adjusted my rear view goggles here and I said, have I? I said, you have no idea. And I started running down. It was a vast website. It just started with the 13 moon calendar, but it got a lot into uh, some far out concepts about nature and how our brains and our minds are separate. They're not separate, but they're not the same. And
mhm,
how our subconscious mind connects us to everything beyond the body, beyond the planet, etc. And I
mhm,
said, "Whoa, this is amazing!" So I started to share that with him, and he invited me to a meditation that he was doing with Dr. Jewel Pookrum and another uh, time scholar, I would call Wanique Kimi Tahuti Shabazz.
mhm,
He too knows Tahita. And so,
mhm,
anyways, the rest is history. I got inspired to learn it, and the best way to learn it is to teach it. So every opportunity I had, I'd be giving a little group discussion about it, and then before you know it, I was teaching on a consistent basis. So that's kind of what started the ball rolling.
wonderful. So let's talk about the concept of a 13 moon calendar versus 12. Uh,
Yes,
so we're talking about 13 months versus 12 months.
yes, yes,
Yeah. And what people in the West are doing is they're following the Gregorian calendar, the
yes.
Roman calendar, which is off. It's not in sync
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
our bodies.
Right,
So
right.
let's talk about that for people who are not familiar with the concept.
So it's real interesting. On this website that I was looking up, they
Mm,
gave the mean average of two different cycles that they tracked the moon on, right? And the mean average was it takes 28 days for the moon to revolve around the earth.
mm,
And so they take that and say, well, that can revolve around the earth 13 times. and then there's 1 day out of time to reset everything. Now that made a whole lot more sense than December meaning 10, but it's the 12th month. It's just, you know what I mean? November meaning 9, but it's the 11th month. And so if you really do, you do. Nobody thinks to do any of this. We just go along with it. We just live in our
Mhm.
lives, and we're not thinking that this would disrupt anything. But as I've matured in terms of emotional intelligence and things of that nature, I have found it to be very advantageous to be in sync with natural cycles or cosmic cycles that
Mhm.
support the earth because I'm on the earth. We're
Right.
on the earth. So if it supports the earth, it supports me.
Right.
And
And
so, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say that when I saw that, I said, well, that makes a lot more sense than to be on these 12 cycles. And let me tell you the other thing that got me. This is what got me into balance with my divine feminine is the feminine cycles, the menstruation cycles are 13 a year, 28 days apart. So when I start tying it to the female reproductive system, I said, wait a minute, we on something. And I saw a huge opportunity to awaken the female avatar to this because so much had been suppressed with the patriarchy that goes on. And so, how do you fit? I'm still asking myself this question, but I remember the first time I asked it like it was yesterday. How do you fit 13 natural cycles into 12 artificial cycles? And you don't. It doesn't work. And so you have all the fibroids and different things that's disrupting our energy field. You see what I'm saying? As beings, whether they're male or female. And I think a lot of it has to do with how we connect to cosmic cycles and not be focusing in on this artificial technology so much that's really disrupting the signal between
Hmm.
us and our maker speaking to us intuitively.
Hmm. It's true. It's true. You know,
Hmm.
it's gotten to the point to where people are substituting the creator of the universe with AI, asking AI questions and and making it into a god. I said, this is so completely inane and insane.
I'm
Crazy.
telling you,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense in terms of basing it on the ovulation of a female is 28 days.
Hmm.
It's not 31. And then to make up for the days, some days have like when there's a leap year, February has less days anyway. And then they give December, January, there are about 3 months, I think, that they give extra days to try to compensate for that.
Hmm.
So what you say makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, and it's been so advantageous. It's not just a lot of stuff makes sense, right?
Yeah.
What I realize is people are very crafty in terms of their level of articulation to make it sound like it makes sense. But when you apply it, you're gonna see we have to see does it make sense to live that way, to live on 13 sides. I changed my accounting system Professor Franklin. I changed my accounting system to 13 cycles instead of 12. And do you know that was one of the first years I really advanced, and my income just from changing from 12 cycles in my accounting system to 13, my income went up about 20%. I couldn't believe it. It's supposed to go up maybe, but you got an extra month of income now. No, the number of days hadn't changed. Now, I was a consultant. Now, I was about making that money when I first started 10 years ago. So I was like, oh, I could add another month of money in here. So if we're making 10,000 a month, it's now 130,000 instead of 120,000. I'm just giving that as an example. I said,
Yeah.
this is really
Yeah.
nice. So when I started that's how I started. But then I have grown into the deeper spiritual aspects of it and how it's helped me advance into more of my telepathic aspects of my mind. And that has been so rewarding as well.
So how have you been able to use this ancient, and we call it new, but it's
Right,
ancient, this
right, right.
ancient system to enhance your telepathic abilities?
Well, I tell you, in studying the movement of nature right? We all can talk about a frequency, right?
Mm.
And I say this a lot, that frequency is the new currency. So we focus
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
focus
yeah.
on cryptocurrency and all these different currencies. Well, the artificial AI, right?
Mhm,
And I call the Gregorian calendar and clocks artificial time.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
And that has a frequency. We call it the 1260 frequency. With that frequency, I realized something, that that calendar was created to account for taxation, and it supports the time is money paradigm. So
mhm,
the whole thing that's in question, that I realized, that in perspective, you have to put this in perspective, right? Is that the question that we have here is, how do we see, and what is the perspective of time? And so
mhm,
if you see time as mechanical, right? Now we tend to have the mindset of scarcity and consumerism, right?
mhm,
The scarcity has us thinking there's not enough time, there's
mhm,
not enough money. Oh my God. And I learned from Baba Wani, this is really good, that intimidation comes in times and dates. Ooh,
mhm,
that just right. That should be on a ringtone somewhere. That when I heard that, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, oh my God, in times and dates intimidates, because we create these deadlines instead of timelines. So what happened, and I'll show you how the telepathy part came in. I started to look at time from this concept of the law of time, that energy factored by time is art, that time is the evolution of consciousness. I said,
mhm,
ooh, what happens when consciousness evolves? Well,
mhm,
it creates anew, right,
mhm,
in space. And I said, so what's the difference between the consumerism, right, and the scarcity? Well, how does that look on natural time, and what's the frequency for that? So they call the natural time the 1320 frequency. Now I'm gonna say a word here, and some of these words people are going to have to look up, because I had to look them up when I first heard it. But the artificial time, or can call it time matrix, is based on the 1260 frequency, 12-month calendar, 60-month clock. You got it?
mhm,
And then the natural time comes from 13 cosmic tones of creation and 20 dynamic frequencies of light. We call archetypes. So 1320 is the frequency. Now that embodies what we call the vigesimal, VIGIesimal mathematical system. The other is the decimal mathematical system, right? The decimal is in binary code, right? It's the
mhm,
10 count. The other one, nature, doesn't count by tens according to the Fibonacci sequence and how the
yeah,
pattern that the synchronic order works in, it counts by the 20 count, 0 to 19. So when you
mhm,
look at the pattern, not only does it look different, but you start to think different, because in our brains, in our corpus callosum, in our cerebral spinal fluid, we have, in our blood, we have plasma. And
mhm,
plasma, we call that semi-liquid electricity. Well, they have a theory. You know how we heard about the Big Bang theory in science, of
mhm,
how,
mhm,
well, they have a theory called the plasma universe model, that the universe didn't come together with the bang, the violent force. It came together and expanded from the rain, not the bang. And it was the rain that created the plasma, in which how consciousness travels and evolves. So when I said everything that I started to study, I said, wow, you know what's interesting? The plasma out there relates to the plasma inside of my blood.
right, mhm,
So what got me really intrigued is when everything I was studying I could find in the body.
mhm,
So anyway, so once I started doing that, they started to tell me about this advanced technique. I kind of equated it to like a neuro linguistic programming when
oh,
I heard
okay,
about it,
okay,
but it's not the same as that. But it kind of I thought about that when I heard about it. It's called the hollow mind perceiver, and it's whole mind concepts and this is what got me in tune with the mind in such a way that the mind and the brain are not the same. The brain is the hardware, the mind is the
right,
software,
right,
and you can tap into all the power by going within, you know.
right,
through the medium of the subconscious mind. So when I saw that, I started to meditate on that and I started to get visions. I went onto the CIA website and I started practicing remote viewing. And I was getting it. I was getting the pictures right, the targets. I was like, oh
So
my
why
God.
the CIA website?
Well, I was looking up remote viewing and how to
And they do
practice.
it all the time. They do it all the time.
They do it all the time. They
All
they
the
they had
time.
that group that was spying on Russia and stuff back in
Yeah.
70s up into the early 90s, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, I Googled, here's how it happened. I Googled how to practice remote viewing, and the CIA website came up, and I was nervous, and I was like, I said, well, they already watching me anyway. Let me get on here. So they had a gazillion targets. You click on this number, and they just give you a blank sheet of paper and they say describe the target. You don't have nothing, no clues or anything. And so you just relax and trust your intuition and your subconscious mind. And I just start, I start typing on there and I put on there. And then when I click submit, they showed me what the target was, which was a picture, the different pictures or different things that they were describing, right? But they wasn't describing it to me. They just gave me a blank sheet of paper and said, describe the target 8429.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, oh man. So here I am meditating with these natural time frequency concepts. And I noticed I could do that. Then I started to be able to uh, develop the gift of precognition. I started to be able to see things a little bit before they happen. I've still been developing that.
Mm-hmm.
But and they were also in a lot of the studies that I had was showing that number was the language of telepathy. So I started studying different number patterns, different ways the synchronic order was working, and my brain started thinking different. That's really what it was. And so this whole time I also was teaching the technical aspect because I hadn't integrated any of it really in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was 9, 10 years ago, but I've integrated it now
Mm-hmm.
into my day-to-day activity. So I have this movement that I'm creating alongside of yours is to help restore the mind and make telepathy the norm.
Yes.
You see, because what if they take out the grid? What if we have a CME, a coronal mass ejection hit the Earth from the sun, and now it takes out the electric grid, and then now we don't have any smartphones. We don't have the luxury of getting on here on these Zoom calls, and so how are we gonna communicate when ain't no power?
Mm-hmm.
We gotta tap into our minds will tell us or show us the
Mm-hmm.
way, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But we it's atrophy, in our mind anyway. So we have to practice to reawaken it.
That's true. That's true. But the group that has perfected telepathy,
Hmm.
two groups, animals and babies.
Yes,
Babies can throw you a vibe
absolutely.
because they don't communicate in a language which we understand. They're communicating, and if you see two babies talking, they're telling jokes and they're laughing at each other. They understand each other.
They
We
sure
just don't
do.
understand their language, but they would sit there and they will watch you. And
Yes,
then all of a sudden, you're going over to the baby to give the infant what he or she has projected for you to give him
yes,
or her.
yes.
They perfected it because
They perfected it.
they've just come over from the other side, so they have
Yes.
perfected it. And animals too. I have three fur babies, felines.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, they
Absolutely.
they throw energy to me like we want this, we want that. So okay, yeah, yeah, they perfect.
Hmm. Absolutely. And that's some of the things along with the Dogon that really inspired me further because the
Mm,
Dogon tribe, they were able to see Star Sirius without a telescope and they were drawing it on the walls of their villages.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And so the foreigners were coming in and saying, how do y'all know about this? This was long before telescopes even came into play. And they
mm-hmm,
were seeing it, but they were seeing it through telepathy. They were seeing it in their minds. That's another thing that inspired me. So, well, if they did it, let me apply some of these techniques and see what I can do. See how
mm-hmm.
it helps me, you know. practice self-governance and be able because once you get access to that aspect of yourself in your mind, it does it's a great responsibility that comes with it. And so you have to practice self-governance. You can't
Yeah.
be vicariously out here wilding out.
Yeah,
Okay.
like this government does. It drops in on people without their permission in terms
Yeah.
of remote viewing. They're viewing people like that. And that's going against spiritual law. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the people that was really advanced who has crossed over now is, oh, I loved his work, Baba Credo Mutua from South
Mm.
Africa. Yeah.
Hmm.
He was really on top of all of this. And he has studied the Dogon people. Because when you go into South Africa, into some of the caves, you will see the drawings of the space people. They
Hmm.
have all that on their walls, like you said before, telescopes. So that's amazing. So do you teach telepathy?
Well, we do, right? We teach. I have a class, a course called telepathic memorization, and it's
Mm-hmm.
really to exercise the emotional side of the brain, right? I also do, sacred geometry and brain balancing type techniques
Mm-hmm.
to help strengthen the balance of the being as we experience telepathy. Because again, if our fears are prominent and we start going into telepathic experiences, then it can be frightening, some of the stuff that we can come up on, especially if we, come up on something where, we see somebody close to us is going to die, or, that we're getting a vision of this and we're like, oh my God, do I tell them? Oh my God, do I not tell them? And it's like, and people can go into a panic um that way. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, but I
Yeah.
do teach it. We do it right now. We've been doing a group once a year. We're about to go into our fourth year. We call it the Telepathic Remembrance Group, and it's a group of students at the Synchronistic Human School of Enlightenment that want to go further than just the law of time and see how nature works around us. They want to go further than just how the universe is working in our mind, in our
Mm-hmm.
whole mind concepts and they want to practice the mind-to-mind telepathy, retrocognition. Some people even put a label on it as time travel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so,
Or
to it,
past life regression.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yep, yep. All of that comes into play, and these are great opportunities to really tap into your higher self a whole nother way and your soul memories and experiences that you've had. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we do teach we do some training first. We do some emotional intelligence training, and then we teach on some of the technical aspects of telepathy, some of the technical aspects of it, and then we also have them practice the exercise. So we'll create a target to remote view on. We'll
Mm-hmm.
create a target to go through retrocognition. One time we did a target for the stock market crash, and literally the students went back to the stock market crash. Now we had an issue. Now, what was interesting about this? There was a debate, and this is what sparked this, that the Great Depression or the Great Depression that came from the stock market crash really affected melanated people
Mm-hmm.
adversely. And so, we there was a debate on it, but people were saying how much it affected it. And so what we said was, why don't we do a remote viewing exercise and see if we can go back to that time and see how it really was? Because we didn't have a lot of data, we didn't have a lot of time to research to find out and go speak to people in some of these prominent, affluent, melanated communities, and so on and so forth. But anyway, so we did this exercise, and Professor Franklin, there was the people heard the music playing, they seen different people, but what we came up with is the majority of them said that the melanated people were not as affected by the stock market crash because they wasn't allowed to invest. They were on the black market. And so we were able to debate. The one of the students was a debater, And they used that data to further that debate because there was another person that was talking so hard on we never recovered from the stock market crash and the Great Depression, and this is what happened to melanated people and things of that nature. And he was able to debate him. Let me tell you, that what that did is made him do the research to back up what he saw in his mind.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so he he won a debate. He took the show. He
Mhm.
came up with some questions that just were not able to be answered. So this is how news and propaganda comes out, and we end up having to accept it because we don't know how to question it or scrutinize it. You know, it's coming at us so fast. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's amazing. So when you have people go back in time, two things. Are they
Hmm.
able to change the sequence of events, which will change the present and the future? And are they going out of their bodies and leaving the shell, the avatar body, empty? And if so,
Hmm.
are they protecting themselves with the light, the white light?
Yeah, they so that's part of the emotional intelligence exercises that we do to prepare them for these type of interactions, telepathic interactions. That's one of the things that my intuition showed me. I was like, how do I do this? Because I'm not an expert on it at all. I just sorry about that. I was just able to um, get interested in it, and I allowed myself to be guided by spirit. So
Mhm.
to your first question, um, they don't have an out of body experience. We focus on kind of the exercise we do. We focus on sacred geometry for about 7 minutes. We do
Mhm.
a couple of mantras, and then we relax.
Mhm.
Um, we do say, you know, the target is we give a time frame that the target is in, a general
Mhm.
ideal of the target. So when we did the stock market crash, we gave the year, we didn't tell the event or nothing. And they were able to go back to that time and say, well, this is what was happening around that time, the stock market crash and all these different things. And so the other thing is so no, they don't leave their body to do it. And
Mhm.
can they change it? That's an advanced concept. We haven't done that as of yet. However, um, there is another strand that can be created. It's like a branch off of a river, you know, that can still go to the water source where I'm told that that can happen. But we haven't done where you can change the course of events.
Mhm.
But what happens when you change yourself, you then change the course of events to a degree because now especially if you decide to operate with the new knowledge that you have and to be able to awaken people. I'll give you another example with this exercise that we did. We time traveled back to 1582 when they started the Gregorian calendar. The
Mhm.
discrepancy, here's the discrepancy. If you go back to when that calendar was started, October the 4th, 1582, you look at everything that was going on around that time. And what they did to correct the errors of the Julian calendar, they skipped the first 10 days. So they said, all right, we're in the Gregorian calendar now. It's October 4th on a Thursday. And then the next day on Friday, it was October 15th. Where did the time go?
Mhm.
It went from October 4th to October 15th the next day. So to the linear mind, you just skipping some numbers on a piece of paper. To the advanced mind, you can't skip Earth rotations in consciousness. So because what we did, what was really good is we re-engineered the calendar, the 13 moon calendar, and what it would have been back then to
Mhm.
see what states of consciousness would have been skipped over by skipping those days. And I
Mhm.
tell you, it put us in the days of the week. It put us in the days of the week. And that's what we talk about now, the days of the week, the weekend. And it really did. And you know something else? A couple of the advanced students, including myself, was doing this. We were getting a notion that they were talking about exploring the new world. Idolatry was prevalent then. It wasn't most prevalent back then, but it was. And this whole I think you will really appreciate this. I hope the audience can appreciate what I'm about to say as well. That when we went back and was going through these concepts, they were talking about exploring the new world. And I looked at that esoterically as that we were distracted on something outside of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Ourself being the unlimited power of divinity in us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's where our intuition speaks to us, right? Through our heart.
Exactly.
But they wanted us to explore this new land. And so the physical attribute was they're going to sell to these lands. So now they got to sell to these lands, and it's going to be our salvation now. And they're going to sell to these lands. So now when they got to the land, now they wanted to possess the land.
Mm-hmm.
Because they wanted to possess the land, they had to colonize,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they wanted to develop the land, they had to enslave the people on the land. And then now the mental incarceration from the, I would say, technology, artificial intelligence, and the digital age, and how it's influencing us to distract us from using our own human technology to use this artificial technology. But the difference is we're not the owner operator of these devices.
Mm-hmm.
So they can influence us and force our hands and get us to comply with things based on popularity and our need or our addiction to it or our dependency on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we did another exercise to 1582 to see all of that. This was in a whole nother year of the telepathic remembrance group. So I just swear by this. And when I saw and I wasn't the only one, uh, and there were people that I was coaching that was going back and getting this type of knowledge and this type of experience, it blew me away. So I knew I had to keep teaching it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to keep having supporting classes that would get us to think a little bit different and to evolve into a new type of intelligence that that had us practice more self-governance versus entities governing our mental capacity and capacitors. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So so yeah, that's another project that we did in terms of retrocognition where we went back in time to see what was going on here with this Gregorian calendar. So I tell people you still can follow the Gregorian calendar. It's just if you want to advance yourself, we never considered it as a programming agent. I didn't. But when you really think about it, what is it programming us for? Because, we put all our dates and our appointments in there and we
Yeah.
celebrate holidays.
Yeah.
Some of us do. And that it further indoctrinates us into the scarcity, consumerism, time is money paradigm. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
we can't get out of debt with that with that entity. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
that expression. Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. I think this is so interesting and novel. I've heard of the 13 moon calendar before. I just hadn't
Hmm.
explored it. And so
Hmm.
after I talked with you, I said, this is so apropos for people to learn about it firsthand and for people to have more advanced knowledge if they, excuse me, if they've heard
Hmm.
of it. So I
Yes.
really think that's really interesting. So the precognition is synonymous with uh, telepathy.
Yeah, premonition. Yep. For
Mm-hmm.
precognition, you can see what happens before it happens. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. I've I've seen this. I've had this ability since I was a child, and I
Hmm.
thought everyone could do it. I didn't think that it was anything special until I was in my 20s, and a friend of mine asked me, "Well, how do you know what you know?" I had no idea what she was talking about. I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "You know things that people don't know." I said, "That's not true. Everyone knows it." She said, "No, they don't. And you know things, and how do you know?" And I had to sit back and think about it because I hadn't been consciously aware
Yes.
that I was doing it. And so now when things happen, I can put it in a little box as to where it belongs. But this, I believe, is really, really interesting. So when a person learns more about the 13 uh, month calendar, I saw it in your bio that
Hmm.
it increases one's prosperity energy. So how so? How does it do that?
Well, I won't say it increases their energy. However, it's nature. So look at how abundant nature is. We
Yeah.
couldn't get I used to with my son and my grandchildren, they'll come and say, Papa, you know, they're coming and asking me a bunch of questions. I said, you know what I want you to do? I'm gonna let you have that piece of candy. But before you have that piece of candy, I need you to go out in that backyard and count every blade of grass. And so they'll go like, okay. And they'll run out there, and they'll be out there for about 5 minutes and they'll come back in. And I say, Papa, it's impossible. I only got to 200 and I still didn't even get nowhere near throughout the whole yard. I can't count all of those. I'll never be able to even eat my candy. I'll be still out there. And I said, all right, very good, very good. And I give them the candy, right? Just have to see what they'll do, see what they come back with. And so that's how it is that the abundance or abundance is prospering in its growth and its exponential growth and geometrical progression. And we are nature's finest as well. We've just been programmed to be something else. And so in our aligning with nature, the things that we touch turn to gold. Everything flourishes and flowers
Hmm.
and blossoms in our life. And it's almost effortlessly. It's not because we're on purpose. See, when you're on purpose, the seed, is an acorn or a seed of a tree, it already sees itself as a tree. It
Hmm.
hadn't even grown up so we could see it as a tree yet, but it sees itself as a tree. I used to always, something else I think is just so cool, right? You seen the movie The Lion King, right? Have you seen that movie?
I have not,
Okay, the
but
movie
heard,
that
I would love to see it, but I just have, I have not.
well, it's fine, right? So because I got these grandchildren and stuff, they see the Lion King, and so the lion, the son of the lion, Mustafa is Simba, and so he's a
Right.
little cub, right? And he
Mm,
goes over and he looks into the pond, and when he looks in the pond, he sees Mustafa. He doesn't see a little cub. He
mm,
sees Mustafa. He sees the finished product of who he is,
mm-hmm.
right? And his purpose. That's what he sees in the reflection. And that's what kind of happens in our mind in this self-image is how do you see
Yes.
yourself? It
Mm-hmm.
don't matter. You can have a great vision, but if you don't see yourself as the visionary now that can accomplish the vision, you won't accomplish the vision. You'll find somebody else that accomplish the vision of the same vision you have, but you won't be able to do it because you don't have the self-image to bring it into fruition. So
Yeah.
it's the
True.
same thing with the seed, right? The seed, you put it in the ground, it sees itself already as the finished product. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just a hologram and energy in that seed that needs what? Nourishment,
Mm-hmm.
water, sunlight, the proper good ground to put it in. And then before you know it, you come out there, you can look out there to bare dirt, and then you'll come out there in a year from now and have a jungle out there.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And so that's kind of what happens when we talk about prosperity. We talking about just aligning with universal law, the laws
Yeah.
of nature, and being able to allow. Now that's something that people have a hard time with because this society controls us in a way or tries to control us, and so it makes us think we got to control everything too. But if we
Yes.
start allowing nature to take its course, we naturally evolve, we naturally progress, and
It's
we
so true.
naturally prosper
That is
financially, you know what I mean? Relationships, right? Health and wellness, because the body, when it has what it needs, right? It heals itself.
it does. It does.
It heals itself.
So, Brother Taharka, before we go
Yes.
any further, I would
Okay.
like for you to give people your contact information. How can they get in touch with you to take your courses, to learn more from you, one-on-one and all these other ways? So let's give them that
Absolutely. So the first way I would recommend people to go do some due diligence and and check us out online. Our website is www.synchronistic human. The human is spelled Hue, like you mentioned earlier, MAN .com. And you can go on there and you'll see different courses and events that we have. You'll see a coaching tab that talks about our one-on-one synchronicity coaching. Because again, the coaching was designed to help diffuse the programming that was taking place from, just this different systematic processes that really just has us focused on money and different things like that. And money is needed. I'm not saying that it's not, but when you focus on the abundance within yourself, the money comes.
It comes, your
It
natural
comes.
magnet. So spell out the website for those who may not know how to
Yes.
spell it. Uh,
www
mhm.
dot synchronistic. So it's Synchronistic, and then right after that, Hueman, Hueman.com. And you can go there and you'll see some different information about what we got going on. Something else you could do that some people do, you can also email me at Neb Teharka, right? So you can see my name, Neb Teharka, all together lowercase, at synchronistichuman.com.
Okay, if you can spell it for them.
Yes, it's Neb Teharka, NebTeharka at synchronistechhuman.com. So Synchronistic.com. So that is also something that we can have. You can also call us and leave us a message at 404-548, and that would be 8748. All
Can
right,
you repeat
so
it, please?
say again.
Repeat it.
Repeat it. Yes. Yes. 404-548-8748. And so you can reach us usually between the hours of 9 to 5. If not, leave us a message and we'll be sure to get back with you and give you, answer any questions, any of your inquiries, and to furthering your mind into some of these areas. And it's very stimulating and rewarding to move down the path where you're getting the answers from yourself versus Chat GPT. It's just amazing. I mean, you got to try it. You got to try it.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying you, but I'm saying the audience. You got to trust. You got to have that primal trust within yourself. The human technology that you have, with the unlimited power of God in us,
Hmm.
is there to guide us, to walk with us, to talk with us, to help us resolve certain issues if we only listen. And some just as I love how you was talking about your psychological background, your background in psychology, and something that I realized, and from your perspective, I definitely would like to know your thoughts on this. But I did a survey, so I've done all this coaching, right? 1,500
Hmm.
sessions. I asked them, do you listen to your intuition? Now, when we start coaching, 9 out of 10 of them is no. They don't really listen to their intuition. And so, and I asked them why, and there was a whole bunch of a myriad of answers. And so I went into meditation and I asked myself, why don't people listen to their intuition? And it was like a Chat GPT thing. You know how they ask about, they ask about God, and when they make an AI the God of the universe and stuff. And a voice came back at me similar and said, well, people don't use it because they're afraid. And so I asked the question, what would they have to be afraid? It's the intuition, it's the unlimited, uh, uh, the omnipotent power in them. And they said, well, the reason why is because this answer that they're asking their intuition is coming from a higher state of consciousness than when they asked the question about the intuition. And
Yeah.
that made so much sense to me that it doesn't seem. I've studied this map of consciousness from the book Power versus Force.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, by David
David Hawkins.
Hawkins. Yeah.
Yep. And he also has one called the map of consciousness. And this is kind of what triggered me into thinking this. And I said, well, what if there are these levels of consciousness? And I think that there are. I think there are different levels of consciousness that people are operating from. And
Mm-hmm.
so if it's coming from a higher level consciousness, just like when we're telling our child, you need to do something this way. My 8-year-old said, well, I could just do it this way, Papa. And so, but I'm coming from a higher level of experience and consciousness that don't make sense to
Yeah.
where his consciousness is.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So trusting your intuition is a faith walk because if you are not in tune with yourself, you'll think it's the devil.
Yeah.
You'll make up the devil and think it's the devil. But really, if you're asking the most innate part of you, the most pure part of you, to help you with a situation, and you get an answer, 9 times out of 10, if it comes from your heart and you feel the warm fuzziness in your heart, it is your intuition. And it may take you down a path that may be a little bit uncomfortable. You might not be used to, but that is the path you need to go. And
You know,
later, you're going to wish you did.
yeah. Well, a lot of times people feel so uncomfortable because it's not dealing with the five senses. It goes
Yes.
beyond the five senses, and it goes to the area of faith or knowing. You
Hmm.
you're going against all the odds that the linear mind
The
says.
logic.
Yeah, the linear mind says that is not going to happen. Don't trust it. And so with the spiritual awareness and consciousness, that defines that. So
Yes.
you Professor, what I would like to do now is just have you sum up in a few words
Okay.
you'd like to leave with the audience.
My favorite saying is that evolution is the solution. And I let me tell the audience, let me listen to me. Let me speak to your head and heart and my head and heart right now. When I realized that every time I evolved, I became more powerful than my circumstances.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
And that empowered me in a way I can't describe. It's
yeah.
ineffable. I can't describe it in words to
Mm-hmm.
you or the audience how it made me feel to
Mm-hmm.
be able to overcome circumstances. And I didn't sell my soul to the devil. I didn't, I didn't get a loan shark. I didn't listen. I went within.
Yeah,
Okay. And so when I saw that, I started to practice that more and more and more. How can I evolve in this situation? And every time I evolve, I was a notch up above my circumstances. And it didn't create any anxiety anymore. It didn't make me afraid. It didn't spook me. When a big bill came, I said, this is coming for me to advance. Let me
yeah,
evolve my mind
yeah,
because there is a solution that I
yeah.
got right now in my brain that will pay for this and 10 times more than it. Let me evolve to that state of consciousness and would do
Exactly.
it. So
Exactly.
evolution is the solution. And the other thing is this, challenge yourself. Um, who are you? You know what I do? Um, in these states of being, I want to challenge myself and challenge the audience that when you come into a difficult situation, now what the master of in time and dates does is create urgency. And it's natural for us to think urgency aligns with importance, and it doesn't. So just because somebody has their urgency is not your emergency, see. So
Mm-hmm.
so so we have to be able to prioritize because the knee-jerk reaction, right? We
Mm-hmm.
need to respond, we don't need to react. But the knee-jerk reaction is that, oh man, if it's coming to me and it's hot off the press, I got to hurry up and respond to it. But I got
Yeah,
all these things I got to respond to. And no, you don't.
yeah.
No, you don't. You don't have to respond to it. What I want to leave the audience with is ask who are you right now? Are you the physical aspect of yourself? Are you tapping into that unlimited aspect of yourself when you're about to face whatever dilemma you're facing? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And once you determine who you are being in that moment, make sure that you align with the unlimited power of yourself and be open to receive instruction from that
Yes.
entity of you and
Yes.
you watch how the dominoes just starts to fall. One last thing I like to say. Um, this whole idea about the 13 moon calendar, I kind of thought it was some spookism in that when I first did it, and I almost missed the opportunity because what I also have done is scrutinize and question things in a certain way so I can develop my own theory about it. And
Yeah.
so when I did that with the 13 moon calendar, it made absolute sense. And then it started tying into the female avatar, et cetera, and everything. And I said, this is what we really should be doing. In fact, the
Mm-hmm.
other one is the wrong one, and this is the right one. And
Mm-hmm.
so am I going to have the compassion to share that with people so they can discover the most innate power within themselves? And that's what I've been doing for the last 9 years. So that's what I would leave the audience with. Go to the highest levels of evolution that you can within yourself, within your intelligence, and you watch how you start overcoming things that you never thought you could, all them triggers and tethers, you're going to overcome it all. And you don't need no school to do it. We just kind of help you accelerate and speed up the process. You can do it by going within yourself.
Yes. The power is within.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Brother Neb Teharka. I'm so pleased that you came.
I'm so
Did I get
glad to
the
be
whole
here.
name? Brother Neb Teharka Qiniche Cauac.
Perfect. If it makes you feel any better, I had to practice it when they gave me the name too. I said, let me get this right. And I said, is
And
it Corniche or is it Kanish? I was
yeah,
able to go through it myself. So thank you
yeah.
so much for having me as a guest on your wonderful platform. And you are flat out amazing. And I can just feel your spirit and see what you're doing for this
Uh,
movement. And I fit
appreciate
right in to this movement, and I got something to say. And it's and we going to change this consciousness in such a way that we all can get back to having more empathy and compassion and loving on the earth and being able to
yes,
really have get back to our communal and family values that
yes,
really make this experience so worth having.
yes, I
All light.
agree. I agree. Ashe, Hotep, Namaste. And so it is. So,
And so it is.
beloveds, thank you for joining us. And make sure that you go to our Great Lives on the Rise podcast YouTube channel, click like, subscribe, and tell others about it. And again, great lives on
On the
the
rise.
rise.
I'm gonna order my shirt.
Yeah. Oh,
I got the
it's
mug. I ordered
wonderful.
the mug, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna get
yeah,
my shirt and my hoodie too.
yeah. The hoodies are now taking off too. They have a life of their own because of the weather.
Yes, yes.
So thank
Awesome.
you for joining us. And until next time, beloveds, stay safe and warm. We will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Sense, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Sense is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.